right outside of Trader Joe's. I'm about to go in and gather all my ingredients to make an under $50 charcuterie board from Trader Joe's. All right, so I am back from Trader Joe's and I'm going to show you what I got, and then we'll go ahead and put that board together. So I'll walk you through each of the ingredients. So I have two types of crackers. I have this garlic naan cracker, and I have just a kind of a more general wheat crisp cracker. So we're going to use those as our crackers on the board. I also have a couple types of fruit. So I got some strawberries, I got blueberries here, and I got some figs. And I don't usually see these, so I was pretty excited. I love putting figs on a charcuterie board. And then I have kind of a mixture of three different meats. So I have a calabrese, salami, prosciutto, and capocollo. All right, so I've got three different types. I love when I can get a 3-pack like this. It just adds some variety and I don't have to buy one of each. And I got some pickles, add a little saltiness. I got two different types of cheeses. So I have a Gouda and a Brie, so one soft and one hard to go on the board. I got some nuts, macadamia nuts, roasted and salted, and cashews. So kind of a couple in one. And then I got two other things to go on there. I got a sweet mustard dill sauce, which I've actually never tried, so I'm pretty excited. And I got a little bag of some sea salted butterscotch caramel. So I was looking at chocolate covered nuts and chocolate covered raisins, but I wanted something kind of even a little bit sweeter than that. So I got these as a little treat for the board. And grand total, the entire board came to, so I think I did pretty well. So I'm going to go ahead and walk you through exactly how I make this board, and you can go. No promises that everything will be the same price when you go, but this is just a sense. Trader Joe's is such a great spot for charcuterie board things because they just have a lot of variety and a lot of really unique flavors. You can get all kinds of other nuts. Actually, the nut section there is so overwhelming. I love it. And it has all kinds of different options in terms of salty or sweet or whatever. And then there's tons of other crackers and cookies and fruit and things you can put in. So head over to Trader Joe's if you want to make this board and get as creative as you want. To make this board, I'm going to use a medium-sized charcuterie board. You could make it bigger or smaller, but with the amount of ingredients, it really feels like this is the size board for this $50 board. And I'm going to start by just putting my bigger elements on my board. There's a couple different methods I like to use when I design any charcuterie board. One of them is to start in the center and build out. But my probably go-to method is actually just to put anything that's big, so bowls, blocks of cheese, things like that on the board. So with the meat, I am going to pull it apart. I'm going to make a couple different kind of meat designs. So the first one is just a little meat chain, and this is where you just fold it in half and then you tuck it inside itself. I have done a whole other video where I talk about how I like to fold meat, so you go ahead and take a look at that if you're looking for some fresh ideas. And so as I do this, I am just thinking about how I can break up the different colors and sizes of the ingredients. So with this salami, I'm actually going to make a charcuterie rose, and I'm going to use the champagne flute to do this. And so you just fold it over itself on the top of the champagne flute, and you need at least 7 or 8 pieces of salami really to make it come together. And then you're just going to take that champagne flute and you are going to flip it upside down directly onto your board. And this makes a really simple and easy rose or flower. You can make more complicated ones, but you often will have to use like a separate bowl for those. So I like to make this one. It's really easy. And so you notice I put those in different places just because they add a lot of color to the board, and I'm going to just divide those up. All right, so Gouda. Gouda is one of my absolute favorite cheeses to put on here. You can see that I'm going to slice it up. When I put cheese on a charcuterie board, I like to do one of two things. One, I like to cut it into slices that are easy for people to pick up, like I'm doing here. So my first idea was that I was going to just cut slices out. There are lots of different ways to cut up your cheese, but this just makes it easy for somebody to come with a plate or a napkin or whatever and pick up a piece. I don't always do this if I'm working with a crumbly cheese or if I'm working with a soft cheese, but I will need to remember to put some sort of cutting or serving tool so that people can easily get their own cheese. Sometimes I'll just do what I'm doing here, which is I cut a couple slices up, make it look like it's, easy and ready to go. And then when I serve it, I will serve it with a knife so that people can cut the rest of their own cheese. With Gouda, I also like to leave the rind on sometimes and put it on its side and cut nice little cubes, and you can put it inside that way too. All right, so now that I have this, I'm going to put my prosciutto on, and I'm just going to kind of gather it up. Prosciutto is so pretty on its own that I don't often do a lot of fancy design work with prosciutto. But again, you can see that I'm keeping it separate from the other meats just to pull them apart and just add interest to the board itself. Okay, so with that, I have kind of the foundation of my board. I've got my cheese and my meat and my bowls. So I'm going to go ahead and start filling in the other areas. So crackers, I'm going to kind of gather them here. You can put crackers on in lots of different ways. Sometimes I'll make rows, but for crackers like this, I like to just kind of make a little pile. And you can see in general, that's how I do most of my main ingredients, is I'm putting them either in rows or piles, so I'm keeping them clumped together. It looks a lot more attractive to do this when you compare it to breaking it up into, individual crackers all over the board. And then when I put on things that are, small and easy to kind of move around like nuts, I like to fill the gaps. So you can see right there where I put the nuts in the middle. And the same is true here with the blueberries. They roll all over the place. So if you can kind of put things so that they are around them, like here, I'm going to move my cheese out. And don't be afraid to change your design as you go. This is something that happens all the time. But I'm just going to move the cheese out so that I can kind of put these blueberries into this little kind of gap in between the cheese itself and the nuts. This is really important if you have to move your charcuterie board after you've made it, just because otherwise you're going to have blueberries or nuts or whatever rolling all over the place. Same thing comes true here with my chocolate. These are very, very rolly, so they're going to need something on the outside to keep holding them in. And again, I'm dividing up the shape, the size, and the texture. So you can see I'm putting these away from the blueberries because they have a very similar shape. And they are both kind of a dark food on there. Now, strawberries are one where I do like to break it up and put them around the board because they are so colorful and they bring such a pop of color to any charcuterie board. So I will often have, a batch of strawberries, but then I'll take a couple and put them in different places around the board. And this really is just eye-catching and appealing. Strawberries are one you can cut up, so you can cut up into bite-sized pieces, but you can also put them on whole, especially if they're this big. All right, next I'm going to add on some of my figs, and these are just beautiful. So I'm actually just going to take them and I'm going to place them on top of the board. Of course, you can eat these figs. They're delicious, but in many ways they are just adding that flair, that color, that beauty, and kind of extra elegance to the board itself. And there you have it, a $50 Trader Joe's charcuterie board ready to be served and perfect for your next gathering.